Hello YouTube, this is Nite, and this is the first replay from Liga A, the SCS 2021, between Unknowndesire and Vanady. Let's go ahead and jump right in by introducing our blue Cyber commander with the name of Unknowndesire, who is already sending his ACU to the front to build up those 3 land factories and expanding a little bit with his engineers. Looks like he's going to try and take a hold of that bridge, which is so ever important on Iskellian Coast. And his opponent on the other hand side of the bridge, we have our teal and commander with the name of Vanady. And he's doing his very common build of 2 air factories. We have seen him do this, of course, in the SCS 20 fall tournament, and it was very successful so far for him. And it is a curious choice that on Iskellian Coast, Unknowndesire has chosen to go Cybern, but we will for sure see how this develops. But I wanted to welcome you guys to the first ever replay of the 2021 SCS. We have officially began the new year. Lots of exciting things are happening and coming your way, including tournaments, which I want to announce the first Serpents Open tournament, which will be January 23rd. Of course, open tournaments are now monthly affairs. They're qualifiers for the season finals. If you don't know exactly what changes I am bringing and want to know more, check out my last replay of the week that I did. And I go into quite a bit of a detail there about the changes and about the tournament structure, as well as the OSS Discord. That's always a good place to get tournament updates, or SCS in particular updates. I encourage you guys to check that out. Vanady, of course, opening up with the double air, is utilizing his air very, very well here, moving it all around, trying to find those expanding engineers. Of course, Unknowndesire is not really doing that, which might come to bite him in the butt here, because he only has 3 land factories, or rather he has 3 land factories, and that's of course a little bit more of a taxing thing or item to have. And the only thing that's playing for Unknown here is the fact that Vanady is actually not doing too much better. He's actually not expanding at all, pausing his air factories here in favor of getting 1 point defense and 1 land factory. Only 4 tanks remain or are built for Vanady here, and that's what he has to hold this oncoming push. And what a scary push it is. This composition has Brackman, adapters, and Cobras, so there's quite a bit of research that's gone into the land production here. Vanady, of course, does not manage to pick off that engineer because he has 5 planes, and I think it's 6 planes, one of which he has lost back here, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but great job healing that engineer by Unknowndesire. And this again is a scary push. There's 2 point defenses for Vanady here. Looks like he's producing out of 1 air factory and 1 land factory, but it looks like only engineers gonna try and build another land factory. And I'm not super sure why Unknown is so hesitant to push into this army here. Of course, he shouldn't be fighting against the point defense, but he has so many adapters and that commander. That commander alone can probably handle all of those tanks, so it's quite curious that Unknown is being so afraid of pushing this out. And now, of course, there's 2 point defenses, but those Cobras should really be firing on the base of Vanady at all times if possible. And Unknown is going to elect to go double point defenses here. I'm not sure if that was a mistake, where he just misclicked both the engineer and commander to build those point defenses, but I would not be building those there, because again, Vanady is not going to be really pushing out. If he has those mobile missile launchers, they're just going to keep picking away at those point defenses, and those point defenses aren't really going to shoot at anything, especially because they have inhibited range compared to the AN commander. And Unknown also has paused his factory production in the back in favor of trying to set up a base up here, and I'm not sure that's quite a great idea, because he has interrupted his supply of reinforcements here and allowing Vanady to really catch up, and Vanady transitioning into a big turtle build here with 3 shield generators coming down, an additional point defense as well. This is something that Moggenrod really likes to do in such cases, and it really works well against such a land unit heavy build as Unknown is demonstrating here. And those Cobras are not going to have any luck here breaking through too many of those shields, while Vanady has the perfect position here to really bombard his opponent with his mobile missile launchers. And we do actually see quite a bit of them coming out here, already putting that first factory to half health. That first factory does end up going down, and that is already a heavy loss from Unknown. And you see that the consequences of that interrupted supply here, there's no reinforcing units on the way for Unknown, and now Vanady actually has a comparable amount of, I don't know why my camera keeps jumping, by the way, I do apologize about that. And now Vanady has a comparable number of units to really be safe here, especially with those point defenses reinforcing in the back. Unknown trying to do his best, trying to heal that point defense, but unfortunately there's simply too many mobile missile launcher fire coming out here. Those adapters cannot even keep up with that many mobile missile launchers. I think there's like twice as many mobile missile launchers as there are tanks at this point. Unknown is going to try and protect that factory from being destroyed as long as possible. Of course, it does end up going down, and now Vanity's in full retreat mode here. Unfortunately, he is not able to break this position, but instead he's going to send his units up to the north to try and prevent further expansion from Vanady, which is actually a very smart choice here. Meanwhile, Vanady has expanded to the back and the side island here, which is definitely a nice transition from him, and this is really what is going to allow him to stabilize in the mid game here, already putting down 4 additional land factories back home. But Unknown is actually going to go unimpeded here in the north, and if he splits well here, he'll be able to, he doesn't even need to split, but he doesn't know that. But if he splits here, well, he can protect both of his armies here. Unfortunately, he has been sending all of his adapters to the north here, and something curious that has happened here is that Unknown actually sent an engineer with this initial push, and now it's up here in the north, and he looks like he wants to continue pushing this engineer up north here and potentially build another base, of course, up there, and already starting to expand to the back. So this is not bad from Unknown if he holds this initial push here. Unfortunately, this is a very scary push for Vanady, but there are a lot of Brackmen here, and on this bridge you definitely don't want to be fighting against any Brackmen, and there's quite a bit of them for Unknown. But Vanady does have those shields at this point, and if he dances very well, he can dodge them. It's just very difficult in such a narrow choke point as this bridge on Iskellian Coast, which is the defining feature really of this map, at least until late game when jump jets and maybe Navy and teleport come in. So it is very, very interesting how Vanady decides to transition into the late game. Of course, we do see a couple of research generators being queued down, but we did see him go into structures, so we do know that teleport is going to be delayed at least a little bit here, because those energy generators are actually quite expensive. Vanady looks like notices, why does it keep doing that? Keeps notices that his opponent is at his gate here in the back, and tries to build up some point defenses to protect it, but unfortunately, even if he got those point defenses out, there was no way that he was going to hold up against that many adapters and mobile missile launchers. So unfortunately, that base does end up getting controlled K'd, and this time Vanady actually manages to control K'd just his base as opposed to his entire army. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the first game of the semi-final of the Serpent Open Invitational here. Vanady doing an okay job microing against these Brackmen, but still manages to walk out into some fire, putting his tanks pretty low health. And it looks like Unknown, I'm not really sure what the point of this point defense is so far out. I think he's trying to set up a closer position to this choke point, which I think he should have just done at the get-go. He was setting up his 3 land factories closer to the choke point. I thought it was really for the purpose of, you know, for a situation like this. It looks like there's an air engagement, which Vanady manages to get his planes behind quite well. So that is very, very well done. While there's a little bit of a lull, I just wanted to talk about some of the videos that I'm going to be planning on doing. So as opposed to matches of the week, where I have been casting, you know, basically the whole best out of 2, I'm going to be doing replays of the week. I'm going to be trying to do one from each league that replays have been submitted. So this week we have Liga A, Liga B, and Liga C. We'll see if I'll get to round 2 B and C this week. Because I actually have to go out of town tomorrow, and today has been a lot of editing, and unfortunately this is actually my second time recording, because for some reason, for the first time in a year and a half, my computer has decided not to record audio randomly. Like, that's not a problem that I had before, and I recorded the whole video and I have to redo it now, but it is what it is. So replays of the week, so of course these are best out of 2. I will do my best here as teleport, by the way, comes out, so let's go ahead and pay attention here. Vanady trying to split push here. Unfortunately the first teleport was a little bit off because there was a teleport on top of the point defense, and that point defense structure deadoed quite a bit of units, and now he's walking into Brackman fire, and that is unfortunate. Vanady does not get a whole lot done besides getting that mass extractor, where they're losing a vast majority of his units there. Has to pull back all the way back across the bridge. Fortunately cannot even finish off that last mass extractor over here. Most likely is not going to finish it off. No, that is not enough to finish off that mass extractor, so that's not a very efficient trade, as Unknown is in the back of Vanity's base now with those remaining units all the way from the start of the game. Vanady continues to walk a little bit into Brackman fire there, but overall doing a good job here. Now starting to micro pretty well and picking off quite a bit of units here, walking into a couple more Brackman fire on the retreat, but manages to pick that off. And Unknown is already setting up a base in the back with that engineer, if you remember, from all the way from the start of the game. And both of these players have done really a tremendous job, all things considered, expanding. Vanady continues to put on the pressure with the teleport, and Unknown in the meantime is utilizing his air, which somehow he won an air engagement here. I think I missed an air engagement somewhere. It was probably over adapters. I think Vanady, oh yeah, with his initial push, I remember this from the first time I cast it. With his initial push, Vanady tried to time it with his air. Fortunately, he just mistimed everything, losing his whole air to the adapters and the reinforcing air from Unknown. But yeah, so going back to what I'm planning to do with the replays is that obviously I do want to let you guys know what is the outcome of the whole best out of 2. So I will be updating you, depending on if it's a match 2 or replay 1 or replay 2 that I'm casting in the series. I'm either going to do it at the beginning or at the end, but I will tell you what of course the final result is. Of course, this is game 1, if you weren't able to tell from the score above. This is game 1, so I will at the end let you know what game 2 was, and I will be showing you the league tables as well, like I used to do in the first year of the SCS. There's an engagement here. Vanady walking into Brackman, a couple more Brackman shots there, but doing a nice job teleporting. And if Unknown had, unit detonate, this might be a very, very difficult fight for Vanady, because he's being a very, very cavalier with his teleports right on top of structures and units. Very, very dangerous here. But Unknown is holding his own, even though he's being surrounded here. That's another misclick by Vanady, flying directly over those adapters down there. But Vanady overall is doing a great job. I think Unknown just doesn't have the control of this game. Usually Unknown has a little bit of a better control of his units, but this time he seems to be controlling his units in groups as opposed to by type or by subgroups. And unfortunately, he just rallies his adapters where the planes must go, but of course he rallies his Brackman also in that direction, and that really just allows Vanady to go even more unimpeded here and pick off the whole of Unknown's base here, even getting those core mass extractors here. But now, yeah, exactly. So the whole base here has been picked off by Vanady with the help of that teleport, of course. Teleport is super strong, especially on this map. After you open up this choke point, and even if you don't, you can go around on water pretty easily. Vanady still being a nuisance here. Now focusing down the commander. The commander is actually getting put down to half health here by just a handful of tanks. But those tanks, of course, will be get picked off by Brackman and those planes. And Unknown actually managed to squeeze out quite a bit of planes. I don't think Vanady still realizes that there is a base back here. And Unknown actually has quite a bit of air production back there. And it looks like some air production on that island at the top as well. And even a factory back here. But now the problem is going to be mass, because he has lost his mass extractors. And this is still a very, very scary push here coming from Vanady, even though there's just a ridiculous amount of adapters in Brackman at this point. Another air engagement here. It looks like Vanady does have a little bit of a better one this time around, especially as Unknown it does retreat back there. And Unknown still continues to control his army in two groups here. I'm just not sure why. I think a split into 50-50 would have been much better there, or even 25-75 to cover both of those armies. But at this point, it's really hard because he has lost his forward position. He's trying to hold on to it for as long as possible here to allow his commander to get away. But his commander's right here, and he's building air factories. You know, Vanady probably does not see where these structures are going, but he's probably going to go and try and pick off those mass points anyway. Meanwhile, we do have a gantry coming out, building an Urchma. The first Urchma does end up coming out rather, and Unknown does scout this, but at this point, I mean, there's not really a lot that you can do here because of, you know, you lost your forward position, and it's going to be very difficult to hold on against an Urchma. Of course, Urchmas aren't really great against Cybran, but I am actually of the opinion that when you have such a composition of, you know, no megalith, essentially, if there's no megalith, I think it's actually pretty good against combination of adapter because of its rate of fire. And if you're able to micro it a little bit better, in conjunction with your land forces, it's really going to whittle those shields away, and that's really what you're probably hoping for. And it is pretty tanky, you know, it has 2400 HP at this point, which I believe normally at this time the megalith has around 17 or 1800, so quite a bit more health. So it is a little tanky. We've seen multiple times where the Urchma is able to tank quite a bit of damage while the units really wreak havoc, and this is what we're seeing here as well. Vanady teleports all around his opponent, surrounding him once again. Looks like the air is going to come in here. Vanady pulls in his air as well, but the problem is those adapters. This time he does manage to time the bombing run quite a bit better here, but unfortunately on the retreat, Unknown is going to pick up all of Vanady's air, but at the expense of the ground fight, which Vanady wins handsomely here. And now there's nothing stopping Vanady from just queuing up an attack move. This is a StarCraft thing where you queue up an A move and just send it to your opponent's base. So very nicely done by Vanady. Unfortunately, he still doesn't realize that there's a base in the back, I think. Otherwise, he would have probably sent a couple more units, maybe even an Urchma back there. So yeah. So that's the one thing that's going for Unknown here. He still has that production, mass production back there, and the air production. He actually has 5 air factories back here, which is very, very good. And it looks like Vanady is just going to split his units here, which isn't going to last too much because there's actually quite a bit of air for Unknown. He did win that air fight earlier, but unfortunately, of course, now he has to split his efforts and try to pick off as many units as he can here. Really with Structure Deado, yeah, an energy generator does Structure Deado, but a little bit late. And those units do have shields as well, so it's going to be pretty difficult to structure Dedo anything at this point. We do see air nomos being built. Not air nomos, what are they called? Oh yeah, air nomos. Sorry. This replay has like incredible moments, and I forget what the units' names are, as you guys know. I was going to say something, and then I forgot. Oh, I was going to say that there's a couple of frame drops, and I don't think NVIDIA has fixed the problem. There was an update in January for the drivers, as of course December once screwed up the frame rates for some older games, Subcom 2 included. Unknown doing a very good job utilizing his air and picking off those expansion points, but Unknown actually doesn't realize that there's an expansion over here on the right, which I think I would try and send my units over there at this point and try and do some damage, but he's doing decent enough damage back here as well, and Vanady just can't engage here. Sending both his air nomos forward, that might be a little bit of a mistake, because while it's not critical mass of planes yet, there is a good engagement here, and he's definitely on the way to reaching that critical mass, and it looks like Vanady's planes are falling rapidly. Vanady loses all of his planes, and that is a lot of wasps for our Cybran commander, and there isn't a whole lot of shields here for Vanady after all. There's just those structure shields that he's built, but Unknown is actually very low, gets caught by a bunch of tanks of Vanady, and does end up going down, and you have to wonder what would have happened if Unknown has just sent his ACU underneath the water and hit it from Vanady. Would he be able to snipe his opponent? And while he did lose his forward position here, it may seem like Unknown just completely lost this game, but actually I think it was pretty close. If it was just a minute difference between this army arriving down here, it would be, you know, close, because Unknown might have gotten a snipe on Vanady's commander with all the air that he managed to accumulate thanks to his two very sneaky expansions. So that is game one. Of course, Vanady takes the 1-0 lead. Let's go and jump into the recap of the series. Game 2 began fairly standardly for our Aeon player, Vanady, opening up with a double air factory. Nothing too out of the ordinary, sending a scout right away. His opponent doing a little bit of a different idea here, going for a research station first with just a single air factory. Vanady looks to capitalize on this with the first air engagement, getting a nice surround and a nice overall engagement, which leads to him picking off every single Cybran Gemini here, but escaping with not enough air to really continue harassing. So Vanady pulls back his remaining air, saving it from the reinforcing flanks. A couple of moments later, Vanady wants to capitalize on his small air lead. Unfortunately, he gets caught up trying to take out one Gemini, and then gets the whole of the Cybran Air Force on his tail, and losing this fight fairly decisively, giving Unknowndesire a way back into this game and more. A few more minutes later, Vanady gets caught out of position once again. This time it's even worse engagement for our Aeon commander, as Unknown brings in his reinforcements from his base, taking out all of Vanady's air once again, and now there's absolutely no contest as the ACU gets focused down, the shield standing no chance here, and Vanady ultimately control came.